The war ended without celebration. The sky above the alien capital was clear, but the ground still smelled of metal and smoke. Human soldier Ethan Cole stood in a long silver hall, wearing a clean uniform that felt strange on his skin. Only 3 days ago, the same uniform had been torn, burned, and stained with blood. Ethan had survived the final mission. Out of 30 soldiers, only he came back alive. He did not feel proud. He felt empty. Around him, tall alien guards stood in perfect lines. Their armor glowed softly, their faces hidden behind smooth masks. None of them spoke. None of them moved. Ethan's hands were calm, but his heart was not. This is too big for medal, he thought. He had been told he would receive a reward from the alien empire. That was all. No details. No explanation. After years of fighting for people who did not trust humans, Ethan expected something small. A badge, a payment, or maybe permission to go home. He would have accepted any of those. The huge doors at the end of the hall slowly opened. Every alien guard lowered their head. Ethan felt a cold line move down his spine. The alien queen entered. She was taller than any being Ethan had ever seen. Her skin shimmered like dark glass, and her eyes burned with ancient power. She did not walk. She glided forward, as if the floor itself obeyed her. Ethan forced himself to stand straight. He had faced death many times, but never like this. The queen stopped in front of him. Her gaze locked onto his face. Ethan did not look away, though his chest felt tight. "You are the human soldier who completed the impossible mission," the queen said. Her voice was calm, heavy, and cold. "Yes, your majesty," Ethan replied. "You fought when others ran." "Yes." "You spared enemies when you could have killed." Ethan hesitated. "I did what I thought was right." The queen studied him in silence. The hole felt smaller with every second. Finally, she turned and raised one long arm. "Bring the reward." Ethan's breath caught. 2 guards stepped forward. Between them walked a figure covered in white fabric. At first, Ethan thought it was some kind of artifact. Then the figure stopped. The fabric fell away. She was an alien princess. Her skin was pale blue, glowing softly under the lights. Her long silver hair fell down her back like liquid metal. Her eyes were deep and calm, not afraid, not angry. She looked quiet. The queen spoke again. "For your service," she said, "for your loyalty and for your survival, the Empire grants you your reward." She paused. "My daughter." The words hit Ethan harder than any weapon. The hole went silent. Ethan's mind froze. This is a joke, he thought. But no one laughed. Ethan looked at the princess. She did not move. She did not react. She simply looked at him, as if she had known this moment would come. "With respect, your majesty," Ethan said slowly, choosing every word. "There must be a mistake." "There is no mistake," the queen replied. Ethan swallowed. "I am a soldier, a human. I cannot accept." "You will accept," the queen said, her voice sharp now. "This is not a request." Ethan's fist tightened. This was not a reward. This was a sentence. The queen stepped closer. "You believe rewards are meant to please," she said. "That is a human thought. In this empire, rewards serve purpose." Ethan felt a chill. "What purpose?" he asked. The queen did not answer right away. Instead, she looked at her daughter. The princess finally spoke. "I chose him." Her voice was soft but clear. The court gasped. Even the guard shifted. Ethan turned toward her, shocked. "You chose me?" "Yes," she said. "I watched you during the war." Ethan shook his head. "You don't know me." "I know enough," she replied. Ethan felt trapped. Every exit felt closed. He looked back at the queen. "If I refuse..." The queen's eyes darkened. "Then you die," she said simply. Silence filled the hole again. Ethan breathed in slowly. He had faced death before. But this felt different. This was not a battlefield. This was a cage made of power and silence. He looked at the princess once more. She did not smile. She did not beg. She only watched him, waiting. Ethan realized something then. The reward did not feel wrong because it was unexpected. It felt wrong because someone was lying. And whatever truth hid behind this gift, it was far more dangerous than war. The hall slowly emptied. Alien nobles left in silence, their long robes brushing the glowing floor. The guards returned to their posts, standing stiff and watchful. The huge doors closed with a deep sound that echoed through the palace. Ethan remained where he was. So did the princess. No chains were placed on him. No weapon was taken from him. That alone made him uneasy. In war, kindness without reason was often more dangerous than cruelty. The princess turned and began to walk. Ethan did not move at first. A guard stepped closer and spoke in a low voice. "Follow her, human." Ethan obeyed. They walked through long corridors filled with soft blue light. The walls were smooth, alive with faint symbols that shifted slowly, like breathing skin. Ethan felt very small here. Not weak, but watched. The princess walked ahead of him, calm and steady. She did not look back. After several turns, they entered a quiet chamber. It was not a prison. It was too open, too beautiful. Tall windows showed the alien city far below, glowing like a field of stars. The guard stopped at the door. "You may speak," one of them said. Then they left. The silence felt heavy. Ethan finally spoke. "Why didn't you resist?" The princess turned to face him. "I was not asked to," she said. "That's not what I mean," Ethan replied. "You're a princess. You could have refused. You could have fought." "I did fight," she said calmly. "Long before today." Ethan frowned. "Then why choose me?" She walked toward a window and looked out. "Because you are alive." Ethan did not understand. That can't be the reason. She turned her head slightly. "You are alive when others are not. That matters." Ethan remembered the battlefield, the broken ground, the bodies, the screams. "I survived because of luck," he said. "No," the princess replied. "You survived because you stopped killing when you could have continued." Ethan felt uncomfortable. "Mercy is not strength." "In your world, maybe," she said. "In mine, it is rare." She finally faced him fully. Up close, Ethan noticed something strange. Her eyes were tired. Not weak, tired. "My name is Lyra," she said, "and I know what people say about me." Ethan hesitated. "What do they say?" "That I am broken," Lyra said. "That I am dangerous. That I should not rule." Ethan stayed silent. "They say I carry a curse," she continued. "That those close to me suffer." Ethan felt a chill. "Is it true?" Lyra looked at him carefully. "Do you believe in curses?" "I believe in cause and effect," Ethan said. A small pause passed. "That answers why I chose you," Lyra said. Ethan crossed his arms. "You're using me." "Yes," she replied honestly. The word hit him hard. "Why?" he asked. Lyra walked closer, lowering her voice. "Because you are human, and the court fears humans who cannot be controlled." Ethan laughed softly, without humor. "They already control us. We fight their wars." "They control bodies," Lyra said. "Not hearts." Ethan looked at her. "So what am I to you? A shield?" Lyra nodded. At first." Ethan repeated. She looked away. "Plans change." Ethan felt anger rise in his chest. "If I'm in danger because of this, I deserve the truth." Lyra met his eyes again. "Then hit." She took a slow breath. "The Empire is dying," she said. "Not from enemies. From itself." Ethan stayed quiet. "My mother rules with fear," Lyra continued. "The court survives on tradition. Humans were added to the war because you were expendable." Ethan clenched his jaw. "I oppose that decision," Lyra said. "I lost." Ethan understood now. "So you made me part of the palace." "Yes," she said. "If a human stands beside me, they must see humans as equals, or reveal their cruelty." Ethan shook his head. "You turned me into a symbol." "Yes." Silence filled the room again. Ethan walked to the window. The city below looked peaceful. Too peaceful. "If I try to leave," he asked, "what happens?" Lyra answered softly, "You will be hunted." "And you?" Ethan asked. Lyra's voice was almost a whisper. I will be executed. Ethan turned slowly. She was not afraid. She was resigned. That scared him more than threats. You're calm, he said. Too calm. Lyra looked at him. Because I already accepted the worst outcome. Ethan felt something shift inside him. On the battlefield, he had seen soldiers who accepted death. They were the most dangerous. So what now? He asked. Lyra stepped back and lowered her head slightly. Not a bow. Something else. Something respectful. Now, she said, we survived long enough to change everything. Ethan stared at her. This was no helpless princess. This was someone preparing for war. And he was standing right in the center of it. Ethan did not sleep that night. The room given to him was large and quiet, filled with soft light and smooth walls. It looked peaceful, but Ethan felt like a guest inside a cage. Every step he took echoed too clearly. Every breath felt noticed. He sat on the edge of the bed, staring at his hands. Lyra's words stayed in his mind. The Empire is dying. Humans were expendable. He had always known humans were treated as tools in this war. But hearing it said so clearly, so calmly, made it harder to ignore. A soft sound came from the doorway. Lyra entered without guards. You should rest, she said. I can't, Ethan replied. She nodded, as if she expected that answer. Then walk with me. They moved through a hidden corridor inside the palace. This place was older than the bright halls. The walls were darker, marked with faded symbols and scars from past conflicts. This area is forbidden, Lyra said quietly. Only heirs are allowed here. Why show me? Ethan asked. Because if you stay ignorant, she said, you will die faster. They stopped before a large door made of dark metal. Lyra placed her hand against it. The door opened slowly, releasing a cold breath of air. Inside was a wide chamber. Holograms lit up the room, images of planets, fleets, and battle lines. Ethan recognized many of them. Human battlefields. Human losses. This is where the war is truly planned, Lyra said. Ethan stepped closer, his chest tight. These numbers, they're wrong. They are correct, Lyra replied. They are just never shown to humans. Ethan saw it clearly now. Missions with the highest death rates were always given to human units. Supplies were delayed. Support came late, or not at all. You sent us to die, Ethan said. Lyra did not deny it. The court did. She moved her hand, changing the display. A new image appeared. Prison camps. Alien soldiers watching rows of humans behind energy fields. Ethan's heart dropped. Those were reported as evacuations. They were not, Lyra said. They were holding camps. Test sites. Bargaining tools. Ethan felt anger rise, hot and sharp. Then why help me? Why help any of us? Lyra looked at the prisoners on the screen. Because I saw something the court did not, she said. I saw humans choose mercy even when no one was watching. Ethan remembered moments he tried to forget. An injured alien soldier crying in fear. A chance to walk away instead of killing. A hand lowered instead of a trigger pulled. I saved some of them, Lyra continued. Quietly, through false orders. Broken systems. Ethan turned toward her. You risked your life. Yes. Why? Lyra met his eyes. Because power without conscience destroys itself. Ethan exhaled slowly. So you watched me? Yes. When? Always, she answered. She gestured, and a new image appeared. Ethan on the battlefield, covered in dust, dragging a wounded alien away from an explosion. Ethan stared. That mission was classified. Nothing is hidden from the palace, Lyra said. I saw you refuse an order. Ethan stiffened. That order was wrong. I know, Lyra said. That is why you are alive. Ethan frowned. What do you mean? Lyra lowered her voice. Other human soldiers who refused orders did not return. Ethan felt cold spread through him. You spared me, he said. I delayed your extraction, Lyra replied. I reassigned your squad. I watched to see who you were. Ethan stepped back slightly. So my survival wasn't luck. No, she said. It was a test. Silence filled the chamber. You pass, Lyra continued, not because you were strong, but because you remained human. Ethan looked away. That doesn't feel like a victory. It is not, Lyra said. It is responsibility. She changed the display again. Now it showed internal maps of the palace. Lines of influence. Names. Power centers. The war was never meant to end fairly, Lyra said. The court profits from it. Fear keeps them in control. And my reward? Ethan asked. Where do I fit in this? Lyra faced him fully. You are leverage, she said. And protection. From what? From my mother, Lyra answered. Ethan's eyes widened. The Queen. She knows I oppose her, Lyra said. But she cannot move openly. If she kills you, she reveals the truth about humans. Ethan shook his head. So I'm a shield again. Yes, Lyra said softly. But not only that. She stepped closer. You are proof, she said, that humans are not inferior. That we made a mistake. Ethan felt the weight of her words. And if this fails, he asked. Lyra did not hesitate. Then both our world bone. Ethan let out a slow breath. He had survived a war. But this was something worse. This was a war of truth. And he was standing beside the one person brave enough to start it. The palace changed after that night. Not in its shape. Not in its beauty. It changed in its silence. Ethan felt at the moment he stepped into the main halls again. Conversation stopped when he passed. Alien nobles watched him with cold eyes. Guards stood closer than before, their hands never far from their weapons. He was no longer a guest. He was a problem. Lyra walked beside him, calm as always. Her posture was perfect, her face unreadable. But Ethan noticed the small signs others missed. Her steps were slower, her gaze sharper. They were both being watched. They are afraid, Ethan whispered. Yes, Lyra replied. Fear makes them careless. That night, Ethan was given new clothing. Not armor, not uniform. Royal colors. This is not protection, Ethan said. This is display. Lyra nodded. They want everyone to see you. Ethan understood. A visible symbol was easier to target. The first attempt came without warning. Ethan was walking alone through a side corridor when the lights flickered. For a brief moment, the hall went dark. He reacted on instinct. He turned, stepped back, and raised his arm just as a thin blade cut through the air where his throat had been. The assassin moved fast. Silent. Alien. Ethan grabbed the attacker's wrist and slammed him into the wall. The blade fell. Before Ethan could act again, the assassin froze. Lyra stood at the end of the hall, one hand raised. Energy wrapped around the attacker like invisible chains. Enough, she said. Guards rushed in moments later. The assassin was taken away. No explanation was given. No punishment was announced. Ethan's heart still raced as he looked at Lyra. You knew this would happen. Yes, she replied. And you still walked me into it. Yes. Ethan clenched his jaw. I am not your soldier. Lyra stepped closer. No, you are something more dangerous. The second attempt was quieter. A poisoned drink. Ethan noticed the smell before he tasted it. He dropped the glass and stepped away. Servants froze in fear. Again, nothing happened. No questions. No justice. The palace did not protect him. It tested him. That night, Ethan stood in Lyra's chamber, anger burning in his chest. This cannot continue, he said. They are trying to kill me in front of you. They are testing my reaction, Lyra replied. And if one of them succeeds... Lyra's voice lowered. Then my plan ends. Ethan stared at her. You speak like that doesn't matter. It matters, she said quietly. That is why I chose someone who would not break easily. Ethan laughed bitterly. You chose someone expendable. Lyra's eyes hardened. No, I chose someone brave enough to leave. Ethan paused. What do you mean? If you leave now, Lyra said, the court will assume you were weak. They will lose interest. I may survive. Ethan shook his head. And you? I will lose everything, she answered. Ethan looked at her carefully. And if I stay, then they must move against us openly, Lyra said, and expose themselves. Silence filled the room. Ethan thought of the war, of orders that cost lives, of silence that killed more than bullets. You are asking me to stand still while they aim, he said. Yes, Lyra replied. Ethan walked to the window. The palace gardens below looked calm, perfect. I could run, he said. I know how. Lyra said nothing. Ethan turned back to her. If I leave, you die. Lyra met his eyes. Yes. That was the truth. Not hidden. Not softened. Ethan felt something settle inside him. On the battlefield, there was a moment when fear faded and clarity took its place. This felt the same. I won't leave, he said. Lyra's eyes widened slightly. Just slightly. You understand what that means, she said. It means a palace becomes a prison, Ethan replied. Lyra nodded. For all of us. At that moment, alarms rang through the halls. Deep and sharp, a guard burst into the room. Princess, the Queen has called an emergency council. Lyra straightened. This is it, she said. Ethan felt his pulse slow. The war had followed him here. Only now, there were no trenches, no cover, just power, lies, and a palace full of enemies. And he was standing in the center of it. The council chamber was larger than any battlefield Ethan had ever seen. It was round, open, and cold. Tall pillars rose toward a dark ceiling where soft lights drifted like slow stars. Around the chamber, alien nobles sat in high seats, their faces calm, their eyes sharp. At the center stood Ethan. No chains, no weapons, no protection. Lyra stood beside him, straight and silent. The alien queen sat above them all, her presence heavy, unmovable. When she raised her hand, the chamber fell completely quiet. This council is called to judge a human, the queen said, and the danger he brings. Ethan felt many eyes burn into him. He entered this palace as a reward, the queen continued. Yet chaos followed. A noble stood. Assassination attempts. Broken protocol. Fear. Another spoke. The princess has changed since his arrival. Lyra did not react. The queen turned her gaze to Ethan. Human, do you deny causing unrest? Ethan lifted his head. No. A ripple of surprise moved through the chamber. I did not seek this place, Ethan continued, but I will not lie about my presence. The queen's eyes narrowed. You admit guilt. I admit truth, Ethan said calmly. Murmurs spread. The queen gestured. Kneel. Ethan did not move. Lyra's breath caught for a brief second. I will not kneel, Ethan said. Gasps filled the chamber. To refuse is treason, a noble hissed. Ethan looked around. I have already been treated as disposable. Kneeling will not change that. The queen rose slowly from her throne. You stand before power older than your world, she said. Why do you resist? Ethan took a breath. His voice was steady. Because I am not your weapon, he said, and I am not your property. The chamber erupted in angry whispers. Lyra stepped forward. This trial is unjust. The queen raised a hand. Silence, daughter. Lyra froze. The queen looked back at Ethan. You confuse courage with defiance. No, Ethan replied. I confuse silence with death. The words echoed. The queen circled him slowly. You believe you matter. I believe humans matter, Ethan said. The nobles laughed softly. A species of tools, one said. Ethan met their gaze. Tools do not choose mercy. Silence returned. The queen stopped in front of Ethan. What do you ask for? Ethan shook his head. Nothing. The queen paused. Nothing. I did not come for reward, Ethan said. I came because I was ordered. I stayed because leaving would kill someone who tried to protect my people. Lyra's eyes widened. The queen looked at her daughter. You hear this? Yes, Lyra said quietly. The queen turned back to Ethan. And you expect mercy? Ethan looked up at her. No. The queen studied him for a long moment. Then she spoke words that chilled the room. There are only two outcomes, she said. Execution or binding? The nobles leaned forward. Execution of the human, the queen continued, or permanent union between human and princess. Ethan felt the weight of every gaze. Marriage, not a reward, a cage. Lyra's hands trembled slightly at her side. Ethan stepped forward. If someone must pay, let it be me alone. The queen smiled faintly. That answer seals your fate. Lyra suddenly moved. She stepped in front of Ethan. I will not allow this, she said. The chamber exploded in noise. The queen's voice cut through it all. You will obey. Lyra raised her head. No. The word shocked everyone. Lyra turned to Ethan, then back to the council. This human did not corrupt me, she said. He revealed you. The queen's eyes burned. You risk everything, she warned. Lyra nodded. I already have. The queen raised her hand. Guards moved. Ethan felt time slow. This was it. Then Lyra did something no one expected. She lowered her head and bowed, not to the queen, but to Ethan. Gasps filled the chamber. I choose him, Lyra said. Not as a reward, not as a weapon. The queen froze. The chamber held its breath. Ancient symbols began to glow across the floor. Old laws awakened. Ethan realized the trial was no longer about him. It was about the empire itself. The chamber stopped breathing. The glowing symbols on the floor spread outward in slow circles, ancient and alive. The light climbed the pillars, traced forgotten words, and filled the air with a low hum that vibrated through bone and heart. The nobles stood frozen. The guards did not move. Even the alien queen stepped back half a pace. These laws, one noble whispered, they are older than the throne. Lyra remained bowed before Ethan. Not weak, not pleading, choosing. Ethan felt panic rise. Lyra, stop. You don't have to. I do, she said calmly, without lifting her head. This is the only language they cannot silence. The queen's voice turned sharp. You dare invoke the first bond. Lyra straightened slowly. Yes, mother. The name carried weight. The first bond was created to unite equals, the queen said, not to bind a human. Lyra met her gaze, then explained why it answered. The glowing symbols pulsed brighter. An ancient voice filled the chamber, not loud, but impossible to ignore. Consent has been given. Equality has been declared. The nobles fell to their knees in shock. Ethan stood stiff, heart pounding. I didn't agree to this, he said. Lyra turned to him. Her eyes were steady, honest. You did, when you refused to kneel, when you chose truth over survival. Ethan swallowed. That's not consent. Lyra stepped closer. Then say the word. Say no, and I will face what comes. The chamber waited. Ethan looked around. At the nobles who sent humans to die. At the queen who ruled with fear. At Lyra, who stood ready to lose everything. He remembered the battlefield. The screams. The silence after. I won't say no, Ethan said, but I won't be owned. The ancient symbols flared. Bond accepted. Ownership denied. A wave of energy burst outward. Nobles were thrown back into their seats. Guards staggered. The queen raised her arms, fighting the force. Enough, she roared. I am the ruler of this empire. The ancient voice answered, calm and final. Rulers are not above law. Silence crashed down. The queen lowered her arms slowly. For the first time, doubt showed on her face. Lyra stood beside Ethan now, equal height, equal presence. The bond does not make him my possession, Lyra said. It makes him my equal, by law. A noble shouted, then humans are no longer expendable, Lyra finished. Not if this empire wishes to survive. The queen stared at Ethan. You were meant to be a shield, she said. A symbol. Ethan met her gaze. I still am, just not yours. The queen laughed once, low and bitter. You humans are dangerous. Yes, Ethan replied simply. When cornered. The ancient light began to fade. The symbol sank back into the floor, sleeping once more. The voice spoke one last time. The bond stands. The choice cannot be undone. The council chamber returned to stillness. But everything had changed. Lyra exhaled slowly. It's done. Ethan nodded. Now what? Lyra looked at the nobles, at the queen, at the empire built on fear. Now, she said, they must decide whether to rule or to evolve. Ethan felt the weight of it settle on his shoulders. He had survived the war. He had survived the palace. Now he stood at the edge of something far more dangerous. A future. The empire did not fall that day, but it cracked. In the days after the council, the palace felt different. Not quieter, not louder, just uncertain. Guards hesitated before giving orders. Nobles whispered instead of commanded. Old power moved carefully now, afraid of breaking something it no longer fully controlled. Ethan felt it in every step he took. He was no longer treated as a prisoner. He was not treated as royalty either. He was treated as something new. Lyra walked beside him through the high gardens, where alien trees bent toward the light. For the first time, there were no guards close enough to hear their words. You regret it, Ethan said. Lyra looked at him. No, you lost everything, he replied. She shook her head. I lost illusions. Ethan stopped near a pool of glowing water. They will never forgive you. They do not have to, Lyra said. They only have to change. Change did not come easily. Some nobles resisted. Others plotted. A few openly challenged the new laws. But the firstborn could not be erased. Its presence lingered in every decision, every command. Humans noticed first. Orders changed. Missions became fair. Support arrived on time. For the first time, human soldiers were asked, not used. Ethan watched messages arrive from the front. Survivors. Freed prisoners. Families reunited. This is because of you, he said to Lyra. No, she replied. This is because you stood when you could have knelt. The queen remained on the throne, but her rule was no longer absolute. She watched Ethan with eyes that no longer held certainty. One evening, she summoned him alone. You were meant to be rewarded and forgotten, she said. Instead, you became a measure. Ethan met her gaze. You taught us war. We taught you consequence. The queen said nothing more. Time passed. Ethan never asked to rule, never asked for power. That was what made him dangerous to those who wanted control. Lyra learned from him as much as he learned from her. She learned about human patience, human stubborn hope, human refusal to disappear quietly. Ethan learned restraint, vision, the cost of leading without fear. One night, standing together beneath a sky filled with alien stars, Ethan spoke softly. I thought the reward was you. Lyra smiled slightly. And I thought the reward was safety. They stood in silence for a long moment. The real reward, Ethan said, was dignity. Lyra nodded. For both our worlds. Far away, the last battles ended. Not with cheers, but with relief. The war did not end because one side won. It ended because one human refused to be less. Ethan had thought he would receive a simple reward. He was wrong. He received something far heavier. A future. And this time, it was one both worlds would have to share.